Welcome back to GAA Fan TV. My name is Aaron. Delighted to be joined here by Matthew Hurley from the GAA Statsman podcast to run through all the weekend's club action across the GAA. Certainly a lot to discuss, a lot to break down. You had provincial winners in the likes of Watty Glen, obviously Kerins O'Rahilly's winning in Munster as well. Couple of intermediate junior games in there as well. Obviously the All-Ireland ladies club football final was at the weekend as well with Kilcoo and Clonberne winning back-to-back titles, and plenty more to discuss as well. Matthew, how's things with yourself? We were chatting off air there. You're still out celebrating last night from France's win over England.
Yeah, I suppose I am, and thanks for having me on again, Aaron. Yeah, it was surreal night, like geez, from watching the GAA and the Munster final, the ladies football final, and then, well, I suppose the Munster final actually was originally supposed to be the same time as the England-France game. I was like, geez, I'll be double screening tonight yet again. But it got moved because Parky Rin, I don't know what the hell was wrong with Parky Rin, that it wasn't suitable for the Munster final. But anyway, it got moved and I got to watch the England-France game. And yeah, I quite enjoyed it, I have to say. The first goal, especially from Shumeni, was a cracker. And even Cade's missed penalty. But there's rumours the ball's still travelling. So yeah, it was a nice, nice feeling to get that, and who knows, like he could take a position in the London senior football team, maybe as a full forward. Scored a good 1-1 last night, so brilliant job from Mr. Kane there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and seeing Declan Rice, Bruno Fernandes, and Ronaldo crying all in the same day. I mean, it doesn't really get much better than that, does it?
Doesn't really, no. Like it was brilliant to see, actually. Yeah, and even Jack Grealish coming off the bench and offering little to nothing as well, and a load of others, and the English fans just crying on social media. Yeah, it was brilliant to see. But yeah, we probably have to qualify for our own tournaments, as English fans say. We can't really talk, but look, we're a small island in a big ocean, but we reach the world from here. That's what loads of people say. So look, we can celebrate what we can get, and yeah, we have GAA in our own country, so that's our excuse really, and not being in a semi-final in Croatia are. So look, we have GAA to comprehend. So that's the way it has to be, Aaron, I suppose.
100%. Yeah, and I suppose we are here obviously to crack through some of the big weekend's games and talking points. And I suppose we'll start with this morning's game. This morning-ish's game, I suppose you could say. Watty Glen 112, Kilcoo 1-6. Watty Glen with a hard-fought 6-point win in the end. It definitely wasn't as comfortable as the scoreline suggested. Obviously, Alex Doherty's late goal really sort of a culmination of Kilcoo really just trying to get back into the game. But Watty Glen, they march on as Ulster champions, and the reigning All-Ireland champions, Kilcoo, are out.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know, is this a surprise now? Like Watty Glen, I would have said, would have been certainties really for All-Ireland contenders at least. And I suppose the main difference in this game, probably looking at the stats on it anyway, was probably the shooting. Like Watty Glen, I think, only had 2 wides in the entire game, maybe 3 wides in the entire game, and they were hitting shots from everywhere, especially with Kilcoo in the second half. They seem to be very wayward with their shooting, and the penalty epitomised that at the end of the half from Paul Devlin. It probably was a penalty, but again, like Kane last night, you would have expected Paul Devlin to slot that on, but geez, he put it wide, not even the keeper make a save there. But yeah, Glen got a late goal, and what a year of football has been for Derry, especially for Conor Glass as well, being nominated for an All-Star, and Derry winning the Ulster Championship, his club winning the Ulster Championship, the Derry minors getting to the semi-finals of the All-Irelands, the Derry seniors getting to the semi-finals. It's been a brilliant year for Derry football, very progressive, and they only lost to 2 teams in the entire All-Ireland season, in a way, in Galway and Donegal in the McKenna Cup as well. So like, it was a brilliant season for Derry football, and it was a great year of progression, and we wouldn't have said that a few seasons ago about Derry and Rory Gallagher. But yeah, it's a brilliant win for Watty Glen. They did it without Ciara McFall as well, who they mentioned in the post-match speech as well. Nice touch there for the captain. But yeah, very good win for Watty Glen, and they'll definitely fancy their chances for the All-Ireland, though. They'll have a difficult enough semi-final to get over Mike Cullen, but they'll definitely fancy their chances if they get to that All-Ireland final.
Yeah, and I suppose you mentioned there sort of the rise of Derry football in the last couple of seasons, and Malachy O'Rourke, and obviously the reigning manager, the current manager in charge of Watty Glen. I mean, he's done a phenomenal job really in charge of this Derry club. And you could see from the start of the game, like how they really stifled Kilcoo. They got in their faces. And that was the big thing, wasn't it? Because for a side like Kilcoo, I don't think they particularly like chasing games. I think they're the type of team that likes to build up an early lead, sit back, defend, absorb the pressure, and just sort of frustrate the opposition, really. Whereas once Watty Glen went 5 points in front, although Kilcoo pulled it back, and as you said, could have scored that penalty and maybe went in 2 points in front at half time. But with Watty Glen starting fast, hitting 5 points early on, that was crucial, really.
It was, and 5 different scores as well. Like, that's incredible. Really, really good scoring there from Watty Glen. And there was an argument. I think Ebbet Bradley maybe should have got a black card. And then the Kilcoo player gets a black card. And maybe that was a turning point in the game. You would think so. But when you look at the score, it was 2 points each at that period. And you would have thought Glen would have lost the game then. They had their chances and they blew it in. But yeah, like, they needed a bit of luck with the penalty. Like, again, Paul Devlin, you would have expected him to slot the penalty away. But yeah, they were 5 points up, and then they get a goal from Aaron Brannick. A brilliant finish, by the way, for a corner back. Very good finish, and he scored 1-1 today. Very good performance from him. But when you look at Kilcoo's scoring conversion rate and their 1-2 from play, that's really not good enough to win an Ulster title. Whereas Glen, they were up for the fight. Like, when you look at the challenges the Glen players were making, it was incredible to see it. They were probably more aggressive in the tackle, considering what happened with them last year. They maybe lost in controversial circumstances there. They were probably the better team, but Kilcoo did what Kilcoo always did and got through after extra time. So there was a bit of onus there for the Glen boys just to, win the game, and they did. Very good performance from them. And Kilcoo, it's a hard one. They maybe could have performed a bit better, like shooting a bit better, but you could disagree that Glen were the much better team on the day. They were incredible, and yeah, they're deserving Ulster champions, the first time in their history. And a lot of people were saying they were the whipping boys of Derry. Now they're the Ulster champions, as the captain mentioned in the post-match speech. So yeah, very good win for Watty Glen. But for Kilcoo, maybe a bit of learnings to get from this, but they will be back, no doubt about that. They're a very good club side, and won the All-Ireland for a reason last season.
Yeah, like, I suppose Conor McGuckian was excellent, obviously, as well. Alex Doherty, great goal from him, sort of in the closing minutes. And I suppose from a Watty Glen perspective, like, you look at someone like Conor Glass as well, who, I mean, what a couple of years it's been for him since he came back from AFL. I mean, I think Watty Glen, it was their first county title last year, possibly ever, or at least in 20 odd years. Someone can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but he's now won back-to-back county titles, an Ulster title with Watty Glen. He wins Derry's first Ulster title at inter-county level in 24 years. I mean, it's kind of incredible, really. I don't know if there's ever been a player that's come back from AFL or come back from a long absence and had as much an impact for his club and county as him. Like, I think that's, it speaks volumes, really.
Yeah, it's a brilliant rise, and you see it from especially from a few Kerry players. Like, I suppose Ty Kennedy came back and did very well. Tommy Walsh was a big example. Yeah, our first ever county title last year. Yeah, it's an incredible story there. Like, to win a county title one year and then win the All-Ireland the next year, it's kind of a sign that things are on the up for this Watty Glen side. But yeah, for Conor Glass, what an achievement for this guy to come back and do what he did. I suppose you could put Ty Kennedy for Kerry and Colin O'Riordan for Tipperary, especially for that Munster Championship campaign, in that same bracket. But when you look at lads like Tommy Walsh, for example, a few others, I'm thinking Kieran Sheehan for Cork, a lot of them will come back and they don't seem the same player. Conor Glass has come back and he looks an even better player. He's an incredible athlete, and even him gliding around Crow Park that time against Clare in the All-Ireland quarterfinals, he was incredible that day. And today, like, he was aggressive at the tackle. He was up for the match, and yeah, he was feeding balls left, right, and centre. He got 1 or 2 points as well today. So very good performance from Conor Glass. He was very good defensively and attacking wise. A lot of people have criticised Conor Glass in the past few seasons for not being, great defensively, but today he definitely showed his capabilities. He was absolutely incredible under the high ball and defensively and offensively. So very good performance from him. And yeah, what a year for Conor Glass. Like, we'll get on to David Clifford in the minute. He's probably had a better year than Conor Glass. That's maybe up for debate, but it's not, to be honest with you. But yeah, Conor Glass has had an outstanding year himself and definitely deserves all the plaudits he's getting.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think it's been an extraordinary year, I suppose, from his perspective, and I suppose from a Kilcoo perspective, obviously disappointment for them. Like, I mean, struggled really to get going, struggled to get scores. Even in the second half, there was moments where they were turning the ball over, but they were just struggling really to sort of create big opportunities and one or two kind of half goal chances. Remember, there was one big chance for Jerome Johnson, which was saved by the Watty Graham's Glen goalkeeper, but I suppose it's one of them things, like for Kilcoo, like to win back-to-back All-Irelands is very, very difficult, and playing in a province that they are playing in. And when you think about it, a lot of their games have gone to extra time and everything else. It's probably one of them things where a bit of maybe inconsistent form has caught up with them maybe.
I suppose so. And even Conor Kinnigan, the manager, was mentioning that Down was a competitive championship and it doesn't get the recognition it deserves. Maybe so, considering their performances, but like they were close and in parts of the game today. But at the same time, when you look at the score black and white, it was 6 points. Glen were the much better team, and when you look at the stats as well, Glen were the much better team, especially scoring. And when you look at the shot conversion rate, especially, like they had the same. I think Kilcoo actually had more shots today, and they failed to convert nearly any of them. Like it was an incredibly bad display for in shooting, especially for Kilcoo today. And Glen were just a much better team. Maybe it's a situation where the winners of this will win the All-Ireland, because the Ulster Championship is so competitive. Like, even look at Ballybay beating Crossba Glen. No one would have saw that coming. Eric and Kieran even got close enough to Glen as well. Like, they'll come back again next year in Tyrone, I'm sure. So, yeah, there's some very good teams. Even Cargan in the semi-finals. When you look at Glen today, and when you look at Glen in the semi-final, I looked at Glen there, and I wasn't really impressed with them. But maybe you have to give more credit to Cargan as well. What a performance from them, from County Antrim. So, yeah, Kilcoo, it is one of the things, I suppose it is, but they have it all Ireland in the bag. They've had plenty of Ulster titles now, so maybe it's time for Glen to get in the spotlight a small bit, but maybe it's time for big rivalry in Ulster as well. I know there's very good Ulster sides in and around the province, but when you look at these two sides, especially the last 2 seasons, they look streets above nearly everybody if they play to their full potential. So, yeah, we could see a rivalry, a club rivalry in the next few seasons. And if it's anything to go by today, when you look at some of the mini brawls, if it escalates even more next year, we're in for some treat, Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously Glen and Kilcoo had a fairly big battle last year as well, and Kilcoo fairly dominant and down. Watty Graham's Glen have obviously won back-to-back titles now in Derry, so you could potentially see that on the cards again next year. Make no mistake about that. And obviously for Kilcoo, as we were sort of saying there, I mean, like I was kind of looking through a lot of their players and sort of the age profile of a lot of players. Like, there is a lot of older lads now sort of in that side. You look at the likes of Conor Laverty in there, some of the Brannigans, like, they have been trickling along for quite a while, and obviously they've been very successful in Down. They won the All-Ireland last year. Like, could there maybe be a bit of a decline in the next few years? I know they still have a few young lads in there, like Sheelan Johnson, maybe a few others coming through, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it is a difficult one. Like, the Johnsons are very young. When you look at the Bradigans, they're relatively young as well. Conor Laverty, will he step away now? The thing is with Conor Laverty, he's gone into the Down job now, so he's kind of double jobbing. It's going to be very difficult for him to keep the pace going. Yeah, it's a difficult one. Like, Noel Kane is still young enough, the goalkeeper. Tiernan Fitz is a pretty good player as well. There's some very good players coming in off the bench. Like, they tried to make an impact today, but they didn't, unfortunately. They would have done another day. So I still think Kilcoo will be thereabouts next season. I still think there's some good young talent. I suppose the only major absentee probably next season will be Conor Laverty, but like, that's one player. He didn't have much of an influence today. He was anonymous, in my opinion. He's a very good player, but maybe past his best a small bit. So I honestly think Kilcoo will be back. I don't think it's a backward step for them at all. I think they'll still win Down next season. And it really depends on the draw again next season. If they avoid Glen until the final again next year, maybe they'll produce another brilliant performance. Maybe, like Glen, there was something on their minds today. There was revenge on their minds. Kilcoo, the table will be turned now next season. if they get into the final, they'll be thinking the same thing as Glen this season. So who's to know? Like I honestly think, to answer your question, I don't think Kilcoo will be going anywhere. When you look at the talent coming up through the ranks, when you look at the bench, like a lot of people were saying the bench would make a difference today. It didn't, unfortunately, but it has other days for Kilcoo. So I don't think they'll be gone away just yet.
Yeah, it's hard to know really, like, because as you've said there, like there probably are a few aging lads in there, but you definitely can't be writing them off given their quality and given what they've done sort of even this year as well. I think a lot of people were writing them off this year and saying they wouldn't even get to an Ulster final, and a lot of people predicting even the likes of Crossmaglen would beat them and Kerrin and everything else. So, obviously they didn't play Crossmaglen in the end, but I would have to agree with you as well at the same time. I think there is going to be you certainly can't write them off going into next season. What were your thoughts on Dublin Joe McQuillan's performance today? I mean, he definitely got a lot of slack sort of on social media. I thought it was one of them things where he tried to let it go quite a bit, and I do like referees that do that in fairness, but maybe there was a case of letting too much go a little bit at times in this game.
Maybe so, yeah. But I suppose why he's getting so much flack is the black card in the first half. I don't know, like only he knows with Paul Devlin. I don't know what happened. I don't think anybody knows what happened there. But it looked to me that Emmett Bradley deserved a black card there. I don't know what went on in the referee's head there. Maybe there was something that we didn't know. Maybe Paul Devlin spoke to the referee in an aggressive manner. I don't know what happened, but I would suggest that was the reason he was given flack on social media. I honestly thought it was a decent enough performance. He tried to let it go. It was a brilliant spectacle. And if it's a brilliant spectacle and he allows the game to flow without, say, awarding needless frees, it's normally a good performance. It was just the amount of fouling today. Like, even the Watty Graham's game players, like, they were aggressive at the tackle. I love that from the referee, just allowing play to go on even further. I counted the frees today. I think it was over 30 frees today, but at the same time, I think it was just 10 in the first half, but it just got niggly in the second half. Maybe that's just down to the two sides. Maybe it's just the culture of Ulster football. But even looking at referees over the weekend, like the Munster final referee, for example, I thought was willy-nilly with the yellow cards and everything like that. We'll get onto that in a minute. But and that wasn't a very good game in general, quality-wise, and the referee not allowing the game to flow. But I honestly thought Joe McQuillan had a decent enough game, and I still think he's one of the best referees in Ireland. Despite what people may think of him, I still think he's a very good referee.
Yeah, like it was a strange one, the black card. Like I didn't really understand it either. Like I don't think, I thought anyway the black card was only for deliberate pull downs or that kind of thing. I didn't think you could black card a player because of dissent. I'd presume that'd either be a yellow card or at worst a red card if he said something very, very bad. Like, so it was a bit interesting, all right, that he gave a black card. I was nearly thinking maybe he just sort of took out the wrong card or something like that and gave it to him by accident. I don't really know, but it was definitely a strange one nonetheless. Moving on to the other provincial final, obviously yesterday, Kerins O'Reilly's getting the job done, getting the victory. Huge result for them, winning 2-6 to 1-8 against Newcastle West of Limerick. Not the best spectacle, not the best game. Obviously, tough conditions, as you were saying there. Got moved stadiums and all the rest. And obviously, the times of the game changed, which definitely probably caused a lot of confusion for people sort of watching at home and everything else. But in the end, the Kerry champions have come through Munster, which at the start of the year, not many people would have predicted.
Yeah, I suppose so, but they just squeaked over the line, Aaron, in this game. I thought, honestly, it was a poor enough game. And, like, when you look at it, I think the likes of Clonmel Commercials and St. Finbarrs from Cork will be kicking themselves looking at that final, because they would have thought there's a Munster final to be won if we just got there. Like, the Bars were taking their eyes off the ball in the Cork final, and it cost them dearly, I think. These are two very poor sides. Like, even I think Dingle would have put up a test to Kilmacud in the semi-final. I don't think Kerins O'Reilly's would. I've looked at them now yesterday. They're an aging team. I know David Moore performed well. He performed admirably yesterday. Barry John Keane scored a brilliant goal. But when you look at in black and white, Newcastle West had 24 shots. Kerins O'Reilly's had 14. Like, usually that's a win for Newcastle West. It was just Newcastle West at 11 whites, So, look, like, I think Kerins O'Reilly's, they're a poor enough side. Like, they didn't score from play in the entire first half, which was very poor. They nearly threw the game away at the end as well. So, Yeah, I think they're honestly a very poor. Newcastle West aren't great either. I don't know how they beat Clonmel Commercials. I really don't know. Please, somebody tell me in the how Newcastle they were aggressive in the tackle and they were getting into Kieran O'Reilly's spaces. And they're good players like Keith Sheehan's a very good player, Ian Corbett. But overall, I thought their quality was so poor, so poor for a Munster final, and same for O'Reilly's. And the referee didn't help either, dishing 4 yellow cards inside 16 minutes, not allowing the game to flow. And yeah, Jack Savage got sent off at the end. I mean, yeah, it was a very poor game from the start to finish. I thought it was very poor. Kerins O'Reilly's march on. I don't think they'll give an iota of what happens. They won their first Munster title. Well done to them. But in the long run, I think Kilcoo will give them an almighty thumping in the semi-final. Judging by that performance anyway, judging by the performances in the Kerry Championship, overall, Aaron, it was a very poor game.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. Like, and as you said, it's been a strange one with Kerins O'Reilly's, isn't it? Because I mean, as we've obviously said before, like in the county championship, they lost every game and they were beaten comprehensively. And I know a lot of people have said they had lads traveling and everything else and whatnot, and that's fair enough. But I don't know, you know, why would a big bulk of the players go traveling during a county championship? I don't really, it doesn't really make sense to me personally. But they did win the club championship without really beating any top teams in Kerry, and now they've come through Munster without really beating any top teams in Munster. It's sort of a strange one. Like, they've probably had a very, like, not to take anything away from them, but they've probably had a very handy route to where they are now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, even like they were just so poor quality for a Kerry side. Now, yesterday they were relying on brilliance really from David Moore in high fielding, Barry John Keane up front. Tommy Walsh got man of the match in the end. I don't think, other than the goal he scored and other than a few high balls lobbed in, that he claimed the mark once, I don't think Tommy Walsh did that well yesterday. I think he had a few nice little touches and that was about it. Like, Newcastle West could have easily won the game yesterday. Like, Kieran O'Reilly maybe should have had a few black cards for putting players down. So I don't think it was a very good performance. And a lot, like I said with Austin Sachs, it doesn't bode well for Kerry football and stuff like that. And I kind of regret those comments after that. But I honestly think there's better teams in Kerry than Kieran O'Reilly's. Like, when you look at even Dr. Crokes, who got a hammering off Dingle, I think they're better than Kieran O'Reilly's. I think Temple No are better than Kieran O'Reilly's. And they kind of got beaten unfairly, really, in the final in Kerry. With Dingle are the team, like Dingle, like I mean, how Dingle weren't allowed to represent Kerry. I mean, it's a joke in many ways because Dingle were wiping Kerry sides aside really in the club championship, and like against East Kerry, they only lost by a point, and East Kerry are a pretty good side. So, like, that just shows you Dingle, they have very good players overall, and yeah, they were very, like, I'd wonder if it was Clonmel Commercials in the final now yesterday, or if it was even Nemo Rangers, who I don't really rate in Cork. If it was one of them at the final, I think Kerins O'Reilly wouldn't be in this situation. I'll be honest with you. So, like, they got very, very lucky that it was Newcastle West in the final. Fair play to Newcastle West for getting to the final, but overall, I thought their quality was very, very poor. And yeah, it doesn't really bode well for Kilcoo either on, because like they haven't got a test since maybe the Fianna game. In the Leinster Championship, they were waltzing through everybody, and they're going to waltz this semi-final as well. So I don't think it bodes well for Kilcoo. It doesn't bode well for Kieran O'Reilly's, considering the thumping they're going to get. So yeah, it doesn't bode well for anybody, unfortunately.
Yeah. Like, I did think Tommy Walsh played well, in fairness. Like, I thought he, as you said, like he did claim a lot of marks. He obviously set up the second goal, scored the first. I think he was critical really in Kerins O'Reilly's coming through the game. Maybe the name as well probably played a big part, and maybe that's why a lot of people, you know, saying his name quite a lot, maybe as opposed to a few other players. Like, I thought Cormac Coffey had a good game, in fairness, as well at cornerback for Kerins O'Reilly's. But yeah, like, do you think conditions even maybe played a bit of a part sort of in the game as well? Obviously, the changing of the ground and everything else. Like, because from watching it, it looked like maybe that kind of played a part in the slow game. Like, I mean, it was hard to know. Like,
jeez, I don't know. Could you use these excuses? Like, a lot of people. I've only been to Mallow Pitch, I think, when I was a 15-year-old, basically, and it probably has changed since then. You know, since I was there. So, a lot of journalists in Cork say it's one of the best pitches in Cork. I actually can't understand why Parky Ring couldn't hold it. I really don't know. Like, I know it's a bit of a run-down ground in terms of toilets and stuff like that, but the pitch itself is pretty good. In these sorts of conditions, you would have thought Parky Rin would have stepped up. Parky Keefe, especially Parky Keefe, why didn't that step up? So like, you could use the pitch as an excuse and stuff like that, and it shocked me, to be honest with you, that was on a Mallow. Bit of a weird place to have a Munster final, but you can't really use that as an excuse. And it was just a very poor game from start to finish. It was intriguing towards the end. Newcastle West nearly got it, and you probably would have wanted Newcastle West to do it. And looking especially at the stats, Newcastle West deserved to win it. When you look at this, they had 10 more shots than Kerins O'Reilly's. They had 10 more turnovers. They were better in kickouts. They should have won the game, but it was just their inept shooting that cost them in the end. And I don't think the pitch was really an excuse. Like, they're brilliant. They're top level club players. They should be able to use the pitch and stuff like that. And Mallow apparently is a good pitch. That's what I'm hearing from Cork journalists anyway. So, like maybe we're clutching at straws and trying to salvage why it was such a poor game. But, geez, it was a poor game. And maybe some people just regretted watching it, to be honest with you. It was very, very poor weather conditions. Like, the World Cup was on. I think Morocco and Portugal was on at the same time, and I wouldn't blame anybody switching over to Morocco, Portugal to watch Ronaldo cry rather than watch this game. So, it was a very, very poor game, and I feel sorry for anybody that didn't watch it. I suppose it was free online. That was the only positive in all this, but very poor game.
Yeah, like my stream was very dodgy watching it, in fairness, but I don't know if that was just me or what was going on. But yeah, like as you said before, definitely not the greatest spectacle nonetheless. It was strange that it wasn't on in Parky Queeve, actually, because I was almost thinking that, like, during the week. Like last year the final was on in, where was it on again? From Turles, yeah. So, like, usually they pick a big stadium out of obviously a county that isn't representative of the two clubs playing. So it's a strange one they didn't go with Parky Queeve. Like, I don't know if there was anything on there at the weekend, an Ed Sheeran concert or something, but a little bit odd that it wasn't on in there. Like, or maybe they just felt like they couldn't fill it. I don't really know. Like, a bit of an odd one. Like,
it is an odd one. Like, I see on Instagram stories that the pitch is actually covered in white sheets. So maybe they're getting Parky Keefe ready for the league next season when Dublin come to town. I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. Like, it's a very, very weird decision. But even Parky Rin not being used, I'd love to see photos of Parky Rin. What happened to the pitch? Did the floodlights fail or something like that? I mean, it was very, very strange. I know Mallow is a decent pitch, decent enough pitch, but to have it there, for a Munster final, I mean, it's a bit of a strange pitch, but even maybe have it on the Parky Keefe 4G pitch. Maybe there's a pitch outside Parky Keefe. No, it's an all AstroTurf pitch, and a lot of teams use it now when venues weren't available because of waterlogged pitches around the counties, and you just used the 4G pitch. So I was wondering, could the Munster Council use that pitch? Or maybe they just don't like 4G pitches. I don't know, to be honest with you. But yeah, it was a strange one they didn't use it. But maybe the reason was there was county football and hurling championship draws on tonight. There was county conventions or something. I don't know what it was, to be honest with you. But yeah, the Parky Keefe pitch couldn't be used. But maybe they could use the 4G. There was no harm in using that. But yeah, it was a strange one to use Mallow. That's all I have to say in it, really. It was a very weird venue. I've only been there really when I was a 15-year-old, so I don't know even the Mallow pitch at all. So, like, it was a very, very weird decision from the Munster Council, but very, very weird indeed.
Yeah, strange one. Even Turles as well. Like, surprising they didn't go with that. But I suppose we could go on and on about it. But Jack says here, didn't realise till a few minutes. Same for Intercounty's got semi-final of county and club. Galway versus Derry, Dublin, Kerry, and opposite outcomes of Intercounty will probably happen. And then Ziul says here, excellent channel, greetings from Mexico. So that's pretty cool. I always find it cool when people tune in from countries that have been to Mexico, fully enough. But that's a story for a different day. But yeah, like obviously Jack was saying there in terms of the four teams that that are obviously through now into the semi-finals. We know who they are. Kerins O'Reilly's in there from Munster. You've obviously got Mike Cullen in there from Galway. Kilcoo Crokes will be in there from Dublin, and Watty Glen will be in there from Derry. Obviously, Kilcoo Crokes playing the Kerry champions and the Galway champions in Mike Cullen playing the Derry champions and Watty Glen. So haven't seen all 4 teams and haven't seen them all closely. Like, who would be your pick at this moment in time to win the All-Ireland?
Well, to be honest, out of the semi-final, Kilcoo should walk it. To be honest with you, for the first semi-final, that's literally a no-brainer. I don't think Kerins O'Reilly's are that good, but we'll move this soon. We move on from that, the better. The other semi-final is intriguing because I think Mike Cullen kind of, they masked a small bit in the Connacht final. They performed well in the second half, to be fair to them. Like, they scored, I think, 9 points for playing in the second half. So they performed well against Tour de Strand that time. But Watty Glen today, the aggression they showed was incredible. It was the last time you see it probably was from a club side was Kilcoo last season, and that's a real compliment for them. So not that Mike Cullen are a bad side, I just think Watty Glen are an incredible side and much better, I think, than Mike Cullen. Maybe it could go to extra time, who knows? But it should be a very interesting game. But I think Watty Glen should get over the line there. The final, I think Watty Glen will do, just for the reason I think they've got tested more than Kilcoo. That won't do a service for Kilcoo the semi-final. It would be just a whitewash within 20 minutes, to be honest with you. So, and when you look at the Leinster Championship, there wasn't much competition there. You know yourself, Aaron, there wasn't at all competition for Kilcoo. The last bit of competition they had was against the Fianna in the Dublin final, so judging by that, I just think Watty Glen will be more battle-hardened going to the final. It's just unfortunate Kilcoo cursing their luck, really. Kilcoo, that they didn't get a really tough draw before the final. But yeah, I think Watty Glen, look at them especially today. They're unbeatable in my opinion. I think they could win the whole thing, and it'd be an absolutely historic achievement for the whole club there.
Yeah, like, it's a case though of Leinster being that poor though, or Kilcoo Crokes just being that good though, because at the same time, Port Arlington and Naas gave Kilcoo Crokes really tough tests last year, and I think they are 2 very, very good sides. And in fairness, Naas did give Crokes a bit of a rally sort of early on in the first half, but once Crokes pulled away, it was next level. But I suppose, as you said, not having a serious test, like, I think Paul Mannion might potentially be back for a semi-final, maybe even the final. So, like, you'd probably want him back in a game that's physical, a bit of a test, just so he can sort of get his body ready for a final. But you think that will come back to bite them?
I think it will, yeah. Maybe Paul Manning could get match fitness in that Kerins O'Reilly's game. They can afford to put him on the bench because they're going to win the game anyway. So, like, I just think it'll be a disservice for Kilcoo, really. They got tested last year against Patrick Pearson in the semi-final. They were semi-tested. Against Port Arlington, they were really tested. And they were really tested in the final against Naas. I don't think this time around they were that good. Like, Naas made a stupid decision at the start of the first half, and just handed the game at a platter for Kilcoo, really. Port Arlington just didn't show up. I don't know what was the issue there. The Downs showed what they were made of in the second half, which was unfortunate, really. It was really unfortunate. Maybe if they had the wind in the first half, maybe Kilcoo could have got a test in, maybe. But maybe I'm clutching at straws. But I think it will be a disservice. I think they're an excellent side, Kilcoo, no doubt about it. Like Mannion, Walsh, Craig Diaz, Darren Mullen, they're outstanding players, but they haven't got a test. That's the frank reality of it. They haven't got a test in the All-Ireland series. Glen have now got Cargan, Kilcoo, Mike Cullen, Eric Kieran as well, and the Derry final with Slot Neal as well. So that's a test week in, week out, and you can't beat that match preparation. So I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to say Watty Glen to win the All-Ireland.
There you go. Yeah, I'd still stick with Kilcoo Crokes, in fairness. I still think they've just a bit too much power, a bit too much strength. They've got that match day experience in Croke Park as well, which I think could stand to them quite a bit as opposed to Watty Glen. But if that is the final, I think it will be a cracking final, and I think it will be very similar to Kilcoo last year, where it goes down to the wire, potentially last kick of the ball. Tom also says Mike Cullen v Kilcoo final, with the latter winning it easy. I mean, we could be sleeping on Mike Cullen at the same time though as well. Like, I mean, they are the Galway champions. I know they've maybe in a similar sort of breath to Kilmacud. Maybe, obviously, they brushed aside Westport very, very easily. No real test there. It's hard to know. But, I mean, there's a lot of unknowns with Moycullen, really, because a lot of the teams they've played have never been in the Connacht Club Championship before. Like Thurles Strand, one of the only recognised teams in there. And Thurles Strand probably just aren't of the quality, really, as of the Galway champions. So it's a hard one to know what Moycullen. They could surprise us, but like you would lean towards Glen at this moment in time.
You'd have to, yeah. But I wouldn't be sleepy on Moycullen probably either, because like they got a test in the semi-final, let's not forget, against Strokestown. Strokestown, apparently, according to match reports, they should have won the game. The decision went the wrong way or something, and the match went to extra time. And yeah, it was a very difficult one for Strokestown to take there. But I think Moycullen actually got tested there. So I think Moycullen, it is a difficult one. Like I think Thurles Strand tested them in the first half, but then they just pulled away in the second half. But just Watty Graham's Glen today were incredible, and seeing as they brushed aside Kilcoo the way they did today, the manner in which they did, I just think like Conor Glass and Emmett Bradley midfield, they'll have too much power, I think, for Moycullen. I do think Moycullen might take it to extra time, but I think Watty Graham's Glen will be just too strong. They're an incredible side. They're almost like an inter-county side. And Malik O'Rourke's manager as well. He's going to come up with a cunning plan if things go wrong at some point in the game. So I just think Watty Graham's Glen will get through to the semi-final, and I think they'll win the final. But Moycullen will definitely put up a test. I wouldn't be sleeping on them, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I suppose a Peter Cook and Conor Glass battle in midfield is going to make for very, very good excitement. And even if Glen were to come through that, Craig Diaz, Conor Glass in midfield, that's a matchup potentially for the ages. Just looking at some, obviously you had the Munster Intermediate and the Junior Munster football finals that were on at the weekend as well. Fossa beating Kilmurry 117 to 1-6. Very, very comprehensive result there for Fossa. Obviously, David Clifford and Paddy Clifford doing the usual business there. And Rathmore obviously came through Napirshik very comfortably as well, 117 to 10 points. So, I mean, Kerry clubs, they do the treble. The Kerry clubs, Kerry Championship often gets a lot of criticism. I think we've both criticised it before. And I think this is the 7th time now in the last 19 years I've seen Adam Moynihan putting up a tweet there that Kerry clubs have done the football treble, shall we say. So, look, maybe what do we know? Maybe Kerry are right to be doing a county and club championship if they're getting so much success at Munster at all levels.
Like maybe so, yeah. But before I comment about the Cork championships and the Kerry championships and stuff like that, I'd have to credit the Cliffords today. They were incredible, 114 between them. What a performance from them, and it's a brilliant record for Kerry to have. But I mentioned on when I was on my page about Fossa and Kilmurry. Kilmurry are ranked 50th in Cork in terms of clubs. Fossa are ranked 24th, maybe even higher than that. So that just shows you the gulf in class between the two. They were always going to lose Kilmurry, but the fact Kilmurry were actually 3 points down at the start of the second half through a Liam Wall goal, that's credit to them. In fairness to them, I didn't expect Kilmurry to put up any challenge at all. They never gave up whatsoever, but yeah, they were always going to be beaten by Fossa. It was a brilliant performance from Kilmurry, who now go into the county championship for the first time, I think, in their history. So it's an incredible achievement for them already. So yeah, but there's a bit of an outlier in stats and stuff like that from Adam Moynihan, and it is case in point there. The intermediate champions are the 9th best team in Kerry. The junior champions are the 24th best team in Kerry. Whereas in Cork, when you look at the intermediate champions, Kanturk this season, they were the 25th best team in Cork. I mean, 25. That's the junior level. That's Fossa's level. And Kanturk maybe should have been playing Fossa this season. And if Michaels went through to play Rathmore, who would have known? Like, they could have put up a challenge there. But even then, Michaels are like the 13th best team in Cork. So it was still going to be difficult there. I just think the criticism with the Kerry Championship, really, and the Senior Championship, there's 8 senior clubs. I mean, that's too little. Way too little. I think there should be about 12 max. There's supposed to be a max of 16, but I think there should be about 12. There should be anyway in Kerry. I don't know what the situation is there, to be honest with you, but would nearly do better than Kerins. Yeah, I honestly think so as well. And Austin Sask got relegated, you know. And Killarney Legion are intermediate as well. Like, there's so many big clubs in the intermediate. How Rathmore ended up there, I don't know. I really don't know. And the Pearson were always going to get hammering today. That was inevitable. The question with Kerry, they're always going to win intermediate and junior championships, despite I suppose Cantorp did a 1 year in Cork, but that's just an incredible story. They went on to win the All Ireland that season, and they went all the way up to Senior A. But that's the only occasion where Kerry hasn't won both the junior and intermediate championships. The question is whether they'll win senior, you know. And to be honest with you, I think Clonmel would put it up to them. Arrow Guinness possibly, and then you have clubs in Cork, probably the Bars and Castlehaven would be the best two there. If they don't reach the Munster, then Kerry are going to win it easily again. So, you know, there's a few flaws to that stat from Adam Moynihan there, I think, anyway, when you look at the structures, when you do a bit of research on it. But, yeah, it's a difficult one with Kerry. What do we know? I suppose they win trophies. But maybe when you look at the structures, when you look at the 24th best team playing the 50th best team in another county, maybe they're not too fair. Maybe.
Yeah, because I suppose the senior championship, it's only 8 counties or 8 clubs, isn't it? So it's sort of, it is sort of maybe flawed a little bit, sort of in that respect. And I suppose you can nearly bet your money already that Austin Stacks are probably going to win the intermediate championship for Kerry next year. But look, I mean, I'm sure Fossa will give a bit of a battle as well now, in fairness. Like, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to sort of keep an eye on that one. But moving on to the All-Ireland Ladies Football Championship final then. So big result for Kilkerrin Clonberne, who got the win versus Donaghmoyne in the All-Ireland Senior Championship final, 13 points to 7. Olivia Dively there with 5 points. Chloe Miskell with 4 points there as well. So great result for Kilkerrin Clonberne, and back-to-back All-Ireland championships for them.
Yeah, incredible achievement. And when you think about it, last year, they were going in as underdogs against Cork's Sport Abbey in the final, and they blitzed them out of the water that final. I thought they blitzed Donaghmoyne as well, to be honest with you, but credit to Donaghmoyne. They performed admirably. 7 points from play, all from play. Pretty good performance from Cora Courtney from midfield, Amy Garland, Katrina McConnell. Very good performances from them. And it's just a shock how Monaghan do so badly in ladies football, when you look at the talent that Donaghmoyne actually have. And maybe it'll give confidence for the Monaghan ladies to do their thing next season. But Kilkerrin Clonberne were incredible. Olivia Dively, I said it on my page, one of the most underrated players in the country. Incredible footballer, I have to say. Chloe Miskell, very good. And there's the same question with Monaghan that applies to Galway as well. Maybe Galway need to, pluck up a small bit and go for ladies football titles, because I think it's definitely there for them. When you look at Dublin players retiring over the last few weeks, I'm not sure who, Noel Healy retired in the past year or so. Lindsay Davey retired. There's a lot of Dubs that are retired. Cork have gone way back, and apparently there's friction in the camp there, so that won't bode well. When you look at the Meath footballers, we talked about Conor Glass. When you look at the Meath footballers, Orla Lally and Vicky Wall, they're coming back from Australia. They might not be the same. So maybe there's an All-Ireland for Galway. Maybe, that's a controversial opinion. Maybe a discussion we should have in the next few weeks or so. Maybe Kerry could be up there as well. They have very good players, but I think this win for Kilkerrin Clonberne will spur on the Galway footballers. And when you look at players other than Kilkerrin Clonberne, players of the Galway team, Mairead Shoiga, Aoife O'Rourke, a few others as well, very good players around that team. So I think Galway will have a good crack at the All-Ireland next year. They lost to Meath by a point in the quarterfinals. Meath needed Emma Duggan wonder point to get them out of there in County Offaly. So I think Galway will be up there next season, but for Kilkerrin Clonberne, very good performance. And maybe Chloe Miskell, maybe the new kid on the block for Galway ladies next season.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, a massive result for them as well. To win back-to-back All-Irelands, like, it's very rarely done. And it shows how strong the club scene is in Galway as well, like about men's level and also at ladies level as well. Like, we've obviously seen Corofin in the past. do so well. You've got Mike Cullen obviously now representing the Galway side, obviously in the All Ireland Club Senior Football Championship, going into the semi-finals. Connacht champions, they're not doing too bad at intermediate level as well. So I mean, look, the Galway club scene is very, very strong about men and ladies level.
It is, yeah, and even Mike Cullen, we were saying, don't sleep on them. They're a pretty good side as well. And yeah, the irony about this is Kilcoo is actually Shane Walsh's club, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, Shane Walsh may be the best footballer to come out of there, but Olivia Divley might not be far behind. Very good footballer there, and yeah, they were blitzing teams out of the water. Like they beat Ballymacarbery 2-10 to 2 points in the semi-final. And this was a Ballymacarbery team that beat the Kerry champions and the Cork champions in Munster, who won 40 county titles in a row. And they blitzed them out of the water in a semi-final. But that tells you how good Kilcoo and Burn are. They're a very good side there. And they blitz everybody. Like the Galway final, I think only Clan again from Roscommon really put it up to them on their run to the final, which shows they're a very good side. And it shows as well that Donaghmore, they only got beaten by 6 points. When you look at scores for play, they only got beaten by 2. That shows that they're a very good side as well. And there could be All Irelands in that team going down the line as well. So, yeah, I think it's been an interesting enough ladies football championship. Even Kilcoo Crokes, they did well in the ladies football. Like they were favourites to get over Dunmoyne. Dunmoyne got over them. So, yeah, we need to give credit to Dunmoyne as well for their part in the final. But Kilcoo and Clonbert, there's the question now, how many titles they're going to win? Because I think who did so well in the ladies football? I think Moore Abbey maybe did back-to-back from Cork. But other than that, I don't think there's been a ladies football team that has dominated as much as Kilcoo and Clonbert right now. So they're a very good side, and they could win multiple All-Irelands in the next few years. They definitely have the players, they definitely have the talent, they definitely have the coaching staff there. So, yeah, they're a very good side and definitely one to be watched. And Galway's ladies football is on the up.
100%. Well, I suppose before we finish up, I want to discuss the news, obviously, that sort of broke during the week about the GAA planning to change the rules again. They're going to be looking to introduce a new kick-out rule that could see kick-outs forced to go past the 45-metre line and frees retaken if opponents shake goalposts. I think if opponents shake goalposts, I think that's 100% spot on there. I think that should already be a rule. Like I think there should be yellow cards given there or something sort of given there. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the rule of, I suppose, goalkeepers having to kick the ball beyond 45 meters? What are your thoughts on that?
I'd honestly be a fan of that rule. I know a lot of people were giving a flack during the week and stuff like that, but it will reduce the amount of short kickouts, and it probably will reduce blanket defences as well. They just want more attacking football, but yeah, I was delighted them 2 rules are coming in, the shaking of the goalpost. I think that's a brilliant rule as well. But they weren't really clear on the shaking of the goalpost. Like if a player puts it, like if there's a situation with Sean O'Shea last year, does he have to retake it again, or does it just stand as a point? If it stands as a point, brilliant. It's grand. It's a brilliant rule there. But if it doesn't, if they have to retake it again, what's the point of that rule? You know, so it's a difficult one there. Yeah, it's a difficult one to comprehend there, but one that I would have really wanted, to be honest with you, is to abolish the offensive mark, and I think you would as well. I absolutely despise this rule. I mean, you see that today, or yesterday with Tommy Walsh for Kerins O'Reilly's. I mean, where's the competition with the forwards and defenders? Where's the 1-on-1s? There's none of that anymore. I mean, and to be fair to them, Dublin, Kerry, Galway, the big teams use it to their advantage, which is brilliant play from them. But it shouldn't be there. It's not Gaelic football. It's turning into AFL if you have that kind of rule. Grant if you have it for kickouts to increase the rate of catching and very good fielding. But this rule serves no purpose. It really doesn't. I don't know why they have it, to be honest with you. I'm sure a lot of GAA fans want this rule abolished. And yeah, it's going to be difficult. Another thing as well, the black card. I would have really wanted the clock to stop, you know, when a black card is going on and on and on, rather than like I think Mick Fitzsimons had a black card, or someone from Dublin last year against Kerry, where the time was instantly gone when Evan Cover from rolling around the ground. That was 5 minutes taken up, you know. So that should have been brought in as well. So I am for the two main rule changes with kickouts and all that, but I wanted to see the offensive mark abolished and the time being adjusted for the black card. Those were two things that needs to be fixed in the GAA ASAP, in my opinion.
Yeah, Tom says here that you would much prefer the longer kick out. Yeah, like, to be honest, I'd have to disagree. Like, I think, like, for myself personally, I think I do understand cutting out negative tactics and sort of, as you said, the scenario around black cards, but I do think at the same time, you can't force every team to play the same way. Like, I think if you try and make a Fermanagh, a Carlow play like a Dublin, you're just going to see one-handed results every single time. Like, I think the reason why we've seen shocks in the GAA and surprises a lot of the time is because the side has been very well set up defensively and they've either hit on the counter attack and they've sort of built from there. And I think as well, like, not every goalkeeper up and down the country as well will be able to kick the ball 45 meters, like, not, it's not going to happen every single time. Like, obviously the majority can, but like, there's probably a few that probably can't. And especially for some of the lower level counties, like, I don't know, like, I think it's something maybe they should trial. Like, it's something you could maybe do in the latter stages of the All-Ireland, but I think if you were to enforce that at club level and, like, into like low level into county level as well, like, you think of Division 4 sides, like, I think it could just get very, very messy. And as well as that, for referees and linesmen as well to try and referee that and judge the ball every single time, like, I just think it would be very, very difficult. And I do know there is a lot of people who really want to cut out sort of the negative tactics and the blanket defenses and, the double sweepers and everything like that. And fair enough, there might be ways to do it or whatever, but I think, maybe you need to, like, just get different coaches, or if you don't want to play negative football, get someone else who wants to play attacking football, because plenty of examples down the years of teams playing different ways. And I think when teams play different ways, it's what makes it interesting. It might make it as good as a viewer, but when you have different styles, like, it's what makes sport interesting, I think. But that's my opinion anyways.
Maybe so, but yeah, like, it is a difficult one. Like, we see loads of shocks in the World Cup, for example. Like, the most shocking team probably is Morocco. Like, what way to play? They sit back and then counter-attack. That's what most, the Carlow against Kildare, that's exactly what they did in 2018. So maybe it's a rule too far, but maybe just try it. See what happens during these challenge games. See what happens. See if it's a good rule. If it's not, scrap it. If it is, it's grand. Like, but to be honest, Aaron, I'm so angry that the black card rule and what's the other rule I was mentioning, that they aren't implemented. Yeah. The offensive mark, yeah. Like, it's incredible that those weren't even considered to be trialed. I mean, yeah, it's Harry Kane. Jesus. This is more of an England chat now. We're on a GAA. Jesus, poor Harry, the man from County Galway. But yeah, it's yeah, I was angered, to be honest, Aaron, with when they weren't even going to be trialed. I mean, it's worth it. You have to try the black card, because it's a farce if it happens. Like, the stuff that happened, I was up for Dublin, obviously, against Kerry last season. But the fact that Mixed Simons will literally offer 5 minutes. I mean, where's the logic? It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. And the GAA need to fix it sooner rather than later. Maybe take some inspiration from the World Cup. They add some additional time and stuff like that. Maybe they should add a stopwatch. Maybe, And I was thinking that at the start of the tournament, why are they doing this and stuff like that? And then they explained it. Oh, they're counting all the diving and the rolling around and the injuries and things like that. And I'm thinking, good, brilliant. It cuts out the amount of diving and the amount of simulation in the game, and cuts out the amount of mere foreigners going on the pitch if it was the GAA version, So maybe that was worth trialing. Maybe we're copying too much soccer there, to be honest with you. But I really wanted them to be trialed, at least, because they're rules that a lot of pundits, a lot of fans would have been angered over the last few seasons.
Yeah, like, I don't know why they're still keeping the mark in. Like, I don't know. Like, I know they were trialing it for a few years, but I thought maybe it would have been gone this year. Maybe it's next year that the so-called trial runs out or whatever they were trying to do. Like, yeah, like I just don't get the whole point behind it. Like, I don't even like. I think the whole reason why they introduced it was to sort of cut out negative tactics again, and obviously forward players could claim sort of a mark. But even at that, I don't even think it does that, to be honest. I don't even know what sort of purpose it actually serves, to be honest. But we'll obviously have to wait and see sort of what happens there. Like, even goalkeepers maybe kicking to 30 meters or 35 could maybe be a compromise or something. But we'll have to see what happens going into next year. What was your club moment of the week?
Jeez, it's a really difficult one. Not much to choose from, is there? I suppose you'll probably say Watty Glen, so I was going to say that myself, but geez, I'm trying to think of something different because it was really a dead enough weekend of club action. So I suppose I'll go for the ladies football. I'll go Clonburn winning the ladies football, and Longford Slashers, the Verbs from the intermediate, winning the first county title of any Longford team. So incredible congratulations to them. And yeah, to Clonburn, they're our team to watch out for the next 2 seasons. The performance of Olivia Divley especially was absolutely incredible. So I'd say I'll go for that.
Yeah, I think my club moment of the week actually would be a video I seen earlier. I was sharing it obviously on the GAA Fan TV Instagram. So obviously I have the video here as well, so we'll have a look at. I don't know who it was scored by, but I know it was a Madrid Harps game, and the first name is Evan, just judging by the video. But we'll have a look anyways.
Come on, Evan!
So I mean, I don't know if he meant it now, like, to be honest, but nonetheless, I mean, that's one way of doing it. I think the thing that most impressed me was after he scored it, he just jogged back into position, like no bother at all. Like, I mean, he didn't even, he just scored one of the most mental points I think I've ever seen. So, like a bit of a reaction there could have been in order, but fair play.
Yeah, incredible performance. And yeah, maybe England could have done with him last night. Whipping a few passes to Harry Kane and he getting his head loose and things like that. Rashford and Saka on the wing or any winger for England. Like the crosses were absolutely terrible last night. So yeah, Honda Slashers, yeah, brilliant performance, Jack. Brilliant performance from them. But yeah, like brilliant point there. Jesus, I did he mean it? He probably did. I think he did. To get the clout or something like that. So maybe he meant it. But yeah, another suggestion for moment of the week. Watty Glen. What an achievement for them to get their first Ulster title after winning their first Kerry title only last season. Incredible performance from them. And even to mention Kieran McFall in the post-match speech, brilliant from the Glen captain. So brilliant moments of the week actually. I thought it'd be a pretty dead weekend, but yeah, we got maybe 3 or 4 moments there, so pretty good.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. And certainly next weekend's going to be interesting with the All Ireland Club Senior Hurling Championship with Ballyhale and Ballygunner being played on the in around the same time as the World Cup final. So it'll be interesting to see, obviously, what happens with that game. But yeah, cheers, Matthew, for coming on. Obviously, make sure to check out the GAA Statsman podcast on Spotify. Obviously, GAA Statsman over on Instagram as well. And if people could subscribe, leave a like button as well, be much appreciated. So yeah, cheers, Matthew, for coming on.
Thanks very much, Aaron. Glad to help.